Alright, we're doing a little bit of a mic test. This is the controller microphone. If this sounds terrible, I'm going to switch to the headset. Okay, so I'm going to try it while playing the game. Alright, we got some tech things we're going to figure out real quick. Because I got to figure out how the fuck I'm going to get the audio for the podcast I want to play. And also how my own audio is going to go through. So give me a second to figure some shit out. And I'll be back in just a second. I'll go crazy on the menu like this whenever I'm ready to unmute. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I think I have figured out how I'm going to do this. Uh, we got to turn the volume down on this. Hopefully, this is all. Okay, so I think. Yep, turn the volume down all the way on that. Okay, so I got two phones here. We're working through. It'd probably just be easier to just do this with a PlayStation camera. I don't have one of those. We're gonna do this. I got chat and the stream on one phone that is currently plugged in. That shit's charging. And then on the other phone, uh, we're gonna be playing the Morning Somewhere podcast. If you don't know what the hell that is, read the description. Um, so yeah, I'm playing catch up. I've decided to listen to it the other day, and on my way to work, I was like, "This is fucking awesome. I really love this fucking podcast." So I'm just gonna be playing that as the main audio. I'm not really gonna be doing any commentary. You might hear me chime in to stuff that they say, but I'm catching up with this podcast. Um, through my Spotify. And we are on, if you want to follow along or listen to it on your own, you can find it on Spotify, everywhere you get podcasts. It's over here on YouTube as well. It's a very good podcast. I love it. Um, if you love Bernie Burns of Rooster Teeth fame, I almost said Rooster Tooth. That's fucking retarded. That rooster has one tooth. Yeah, it's called a beak, you dumbass. Anyways, I am on their January 4th episode of 2024. So they've been doing this podcast for almost 2 years, if not a little over 2 years, and I am trying to do 2 years of catch up right now. Here's the thing, each podcast is like 20 to 30 minutes. Each episode is 20 to 30 minutes, so you can get on average 2 episodes per hour, so I mean, hey, why not try to crush through it and get caught up? Plus, I like listening to Bernie and Ashley talk. So, if that's something you like too, we will go ahead and do that. However, I'm gonna play it, and then I'm gonna make sure that the audio is okay before I continue the game. And the game is the Crew Motorfest, which I'm also doing catch up on. Um, you might hear me moving around, but other than that, all audio levels should be fine. And I know I sound like a frog with some of the things that I say with my filler and whatnot. Think of me as budget Jeff Ramsey, okay? Who is also of Rooster Teeth fame. Um, Another fellow that I enjoy listening to. Um, so give me just a second. All this is going through the PlayStation 5 controller mic, by the way. So if it sounds bad, like I said before, earlier in the stream, we will switch to the headset. But I still, honestly, don't know how that's going to work. So what I'm going to start the podcast, and then if I start playing the game, you'll know we're good. That's a good metric. Um, Alrighty.
Everybody needs money. That's why they call it money. We're recording the podcast. Shut up. Good morning to you wherever you are, because it is morning somewhere for January 4th, 2024. My name is Bernie Burns. With me right over there, here to apologize for flashing the entire Sugar Bowl home audience. Ashley, how you doing?
Well, feeling so embarrassed.
John, this is not who I am.
And
Well,
also joined by a very surprised cat.
We were laughing because the cat is sleeping on the couch.
He was.
And I think we have proof that now that is an energetic opening to a morning show. He shot up like a rocket. So,
welcome to the day, Mush.
So I have to say, Ashley is going to be a little bit under today because Ashley had a very, very rough night. I should say the baby had a very rough night. And as a result, Ashley was up because she has the magic touch and can calm the baby, and it didn't work. Like I got up and helped, and I couldn't help, and then Ashley it was a rough night. Let's put it that way.
I'm mainlining my coffee.
Being a mother in a house with especially young kids, like kids under 5, the mom is the center of the whole house. Like everyone who lives in that home, their number one relationship is that person. She is everyone's number one. She's my number one, my primary relationship. She's every one of the kids' primary relationship. I would argue that you're probably your own primary relationship because you're taking care of yourself.
The cat was sleeping on me last night.
Even the cat won't sleep on me. The cat has to sleep on you. We were at the pub the other day, and we saw this couple with a young kid, probably 3 months old, maybe 4 months old.
Yes, it was baby.
Baby. And baby wasn't really being that bad, but it was kind of just like, and being a little bit uncontrollable. And finally, the dad did the thing that dads do, which is like, here, let me just take the baby. I'm going to go outside with the baby and walk the baby in the stroller. And you just have a second and let me get the baby out of here. And as soon as he walked away, she just put her heads in her hand, looked down at the table, and just had a moment to herself. And both Ashley and I were like, oh, man.
I feel you, girl. I've been there.
Oh, my God.
I've been there. And sometimes, like, just all you need sometimes is that moment. You just need to breathe for a second. But it's, yeah, you look at that lady and you're like, I have been where you are. My utmost sympathy. You want me to walk the kid? I'll walk the kid.
Right.
But dad was all over it. It was great. We left and we saw him. He was just pushing the kid up and down outside on the sidewalk.
It's funny, too, because when we were on the plane with Evie and she was acting up, and we were both just walking her to the back, to the galley, essentially, and just getting her away from the people she was crying next to, trying to break up the parts of the plane that she's crying next to.
God, I must have spent hours just in the galley,
yep, in the
near the rear toilets, just rocking the baby, going, go to sleep.
And it was so great because every time you did it, they would come up to you and they would say, hey, can I do anything to help? All these mothers who haven't had a baby for a while, they all got it. They just offered to help you. And me, they would just walk by when they saw me and say, good job, Dad. It's like, your turn in the barrel. No offer to help or anything. Just like, good job, Dad. But I can't imagine, too. Shout out to anybody. And there's so many people in the world doing that alone. How in the hell do you get that done? How do you get it done?
Impossible. It's impossible, and yet so many people do it. I don't understand it.
Doing the impossible every day. Every day. I used to grow up and I'd watch, sports, and they'd interview these athletes, and they always talk about their mom raising them as a single mom and taking them to football practice, and they get a contract and they buy their mom a house. And as a kid, I was like, okay, that's cool. These guys are really into their mom. And then once I had kids, I was like, I want to go back in time and buy those ladies a house. How the hell? How the hell does anybody do it by themselves? So shout out to the people that are getting it done. You know, it would be
real quick, if anybody needs anything, any adjustments or whatever, let me know in chat, and I will try to adjust accordingly. Back to the podcast.
A great way for a kid to ensure you can buy a house is if you train him to be an esports player from the age of 5 years old. That'd be a great way to do that.
You know, the youngest kid I ever knew who was an esports player, I think he was 6.
6 years old. I think the crazy thing is, what's the oldest esports player you ever knew that was active?
Mid-20s?
Yeah, like 24, 20, maybe 25.
Yeah, it's tough. It's like they talk about like the slowdown, and it's like you expect them to be like geriatric, and it's like it's not. It's just you're not 16 on in the midst of like hormone overload, and
Long night, Brad.
and sorry, but the youngest kid is little Romeo. He was a Halo player during the MLB
I remember little
years.
Romeo.
Yeah, he was a cute kid too. He was good. He was really good.
Well, I tried to look up the oldest esports player, and it said 79-year-old Swedish gamer who plays Counter-Strike. But I'm wondering, like, who's been to Worlds, in League of Legends or something like that.
Yeah, those guys all seem 20s. But there was.
Well, I was just gonna say, maybe I'll talk about this later. But at some point, I would like to talk about esports had a weird year in 2023.
It did have a weirdly down year.
I would go so far as to say maybe even call that a crash. Let's off the cuff here, but maybe we'll talk about that one too.
Well, let's let that rock tumble for a little bit and talk about another gaming accomplishment because Tetris has been beat to submission. at long last by a human, not a robot.
What do you mean?
A 13-year-old kid just got to the point in Tetris where Tetris crashes.
Oh, you got like the kill screen on Tetris.
Yeah, yeah. So which was thought to be impossible by a human, but he just did it.
Impossible by a human.
It's been done by AI before, but humans, the limitation is the input with fingers and everything. And there's this article from Ars Technica. I'll put it in the link up because it's really quite fascinating, talking about the different sort of techniques that players have developed over the years to try to get blocks to the sides as fast as possible. Because once you pass a certain point in the game, like level 29, that's when the game is at its fastest speed. And it's almost impossible to get a block to the side to get it into place.
I've seen them do things like where they put the controller on their lap and hit it with both the motion of moving the hand with the controller and moving the hand that's tapping the controller.
Yeah, so I'm trying to find the part in this article where these special grips are. There's a delayed auto shift. No, that's not it. But anyway, it's in the link now. And this 13-year-old kid got 1,500 lines in when what was thought to be around the max you could get was about 290.
290 lines in. Now, what is that lines completed?
That's when you get to, yes, that's when you get to the level 29. That's when it gets to that fastest speed. And usually it's going so fast that you can't last long after that. But he must have been in a zone.
So now, what are we talking about? Do you know here? Are we talking about Tetris on the Game Boy?
This is Tetris on NES.
On NES specifically. Okay.
Yeah.
There's been a billion versions of Tetris.
I wonder if that comes up in the best selling games list, because there have been so many Tetris.
Yes, it's actually a weird one. I was going to mention that because we were talking about Minecraft earlier this week being the best selling game of all time. Tetris is also on that list, but it's on that list in a few different places because it's the different versions of the game, which apparently are somehow different titles entirely. For instance, the Game Boy version of Tetris, which is the one that made it explode all over the world, that is different than the EA-owned version of Tetris. And I'm not really sure why. Oddly enough, it might tie into other things we've talked about this week, like copyright.
Okay. I guess that kind of makes sense.
There's a whole... I didn't see it.
There's a documentary or something about Tetris, too, right? About how it got out of Russia?
I think it's a social network style.
Okay.
Where it's it is a documentary, but it's not.
It's a drama-documentary? I'm sure there's a name for it.
It's a true crime podcast. Let me see. Tetris, I think it's on HBO.
Anyway, shout out to this kid, Blue Shooty. It's super insanely impressive. He's going to get all the babes.
Tetris, you like the classification of the genre. Based on the true events around the race to license and patent the video.
I did not even think that my fucking audio on my PS5 would pick up. Let me turn the voice assistant off so that doesn't happen again. Okay, cool. We are back. I turned voice assistant off on the PlayStation, so that shouldn't happen again.
Game Tetris from Russia in the late 1980s during the Cold War.
There's someone impressive in that, I think. Who's in that?
Taron Egerton. He's
yeah,
played
I like
Elton
that guy.
John, and then you like him from Kingsman.
I like him a lot in Kingsman. He's great. Those are great movies. Even the ones, not, okay, I'm going to make the qualification here. No.
Nah.
Not the prequel. I did not enjoy the prequel at all. I fell out of that at the weird
Rasputin. That's where you fell out.
Fight. I was like, I don't know what's happening here, but I didn't finish that movie. And I love the other Kingsman movies. Even the second one, which was not as good as the first one. And I liked the third one because I thought there was a President's Statesman. The American versions were so funny. They're like, here's my last cell.
It's a Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the first things we saw him in that wasn't Game of Thrones, I think.
Yeah, he goes way back. Apparently, he was on Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Really?
Yeah, he's been working for a really long time. So I pulled up, this is from Wikipedia, top-selling video games of all time. Minecraft at 300 million copies. Grand Theft Auto 5 at 190 million. Tetris, parentheses, EA, 100 million copies. Wii Sports, PUBG, Mario Kart, Super Mario Brothers, Red Dead Redemption, Overwatch, Witcher 3, Tetris 1989, 48 million copies.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, which would move it would move Tetris up in the rankings to combine those, but it's interesting that it's the one on there that's multiple versions of itself, unless you count every Nintendo, which is kind of like
Hey, stop right there.
I got no problems
Stop
with
right
it.
there.
I have no problems with it, but Nintendo makes the same games over and over again, and we don't care. I'm not making fun of them. They do it, and everybody loves it, and I'm one of those people.
Sort of, but I really hate Nintendo. If you're listening, I'm sure you are. We are, a trending podcast. Could you please consider maybe getting Double Dash on the Switch? Thank you.
Yes, there's all this talk about the Switch 2 this week, and I don't know.
Lots of rumors saying
Nintendo made an official statement or something.
I don't think so, but everyone's expecting an announcement imminently that it's going to release this year, and then it's going to be the Switch 2. Not like
there was some kind of verbiage, though, of tempering where it was said that it's going to be more of an iteration rather than a revolution.
Yeah, but I think that's all industry analysts, so it's all still guesswork.
But that's an iteration and not a revolution. I mean, when Nintendo makes revolutions, they're enormous, and their iterations are tremendous as well. So they hit it all the time,
Except the Wii U. But the other thing I want to talk about today is, did you see an email we got from Amazon?
No, what was the email we got from Amazon?
They are adding ads now to their streaming video.
You had me. Had me the first ad there. I thought they were adding ads to our podcast. Let's do it.
All right, only for you, Amazon.
So Amazon is putting ads on what?
So this is Prime Video. So think like The Boys. Think Reacher, which is streaming now. The second season of Reacher with our friend Alan Richardson. He is built like a truck. Yeah. In this series, and
he was big when we worked with him, and now he's just massive. I wonder if he's tired of hearing about how big he is.
Possibly, but considering how hard he has to work to get there, maybe not.
Probably.
Yeah. But they're
he
adding,
should be in Minecraft.
Ads are coming on the streaming service. It looks like the 29th of January in North America, internationally on February 5th, or you can pay an additional $3 a month to stay ad-free.
Okay. So just more money.
Yeah, it seems like it's similar to what Netflix did. Netflix added an ad-supported tier and then just made that the cheaper one and then made the other one a little bit more expensive, although they've had a couple of price hikes since they introduced that, I think. So,
have they made any speculation as to how much money this is going to generate?
There was a third-party article. This is from Bloomberg saying that it's expected to generate an extra $5 billion in revenue. Wow. So maybe they can make up for the 50-some-odd million that stupid Citadel show.
I don't even know what you're talking about. What is Citadel?
So it has Rob Stark and one of the Jonas Brothers.
It has Rob Stark, actually the fictional character, or the actor?
It has the actor. Yeah. And one of the Jonas Brothers' wives, who's I
would love if this was the poster. Starring Rob Stark and one of the Jonas Brothers' wives.
I don't know anybody's names.
Is it one of the Jonas Brothers' wives?
Priyanka, yes. One of the Jonas Brothers' wives they're getting divorced, and it's messy. Right. Anyway, and they're like spies, and they're like enemies, but maybe they're not. But he doesn't remember anything. And but then he's going to get his memories back, and who's betraying who, and who's the real mole, and it's exactly what we expect that kind of show to be, but where with the Night Agent, the one on Netflix anyway, that's like the top watched show for the year on Netflix. That one, it hit all the marks, but I really enjoyed it, and Citadel, not as much.
How do you feel about it though? Will it change your viewing habits on Amazon Prime?
No, not really. The one that drives my viewing habits on Amazon Prime, hands down, is The Voice.
I'm trying to think what other Amazon shows I watched. You're a big fantasy fan. Did you watch the Tolkien series? No, we didn't even watch that at all.
No. Yeah. Is Amazon Prime where the Wheel of Time is? Because I did watch that. And Mrs. Maisel. We really love Mrs. Maisel.
We watched, we love Mrs. Maisel, and
But that's over.
we watched Bluey too. It's where we get Bluey here.
Yes, but only because we buy it.
Right, because that's where we had trouble getting Bluey over here in the UK, and everyone was recommending that if we're going to have our kiddo watch anything, they should watch Bluey. And they're right. It's a great show.
It's a great show.
Yeah, Bluey's a great show. I still don't understand though why kids shows change over time. That still doesn't make any sense to me. All the kids of different generations, like the older boys watch Blue's Clues. Some kids are watching Cocomelon. Some kids all watch SpongeBob. And it's weird how the kids shows change over time. Kids have never seen any media. Why wouldn't they just watch the same things again and again? But I guess they just do.
Bro, we got toys to sell.
Mr. Rogers, you know? Sesame Street.
Toys to sell. Let's go.
Yeah. Did you hear that they had to go back, though, and get rid of Snuffleupagus from Sesame Street?
No, why?
Because Snuffleupagus, who was Big Bird's friend that no one else could see, they thought it would give kids anxiety that adults wouldn't believe them when they told them about something or someone.
Wow,
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Did they get rid of him, or did they make him visible to other people?
I think they made it visible to other people. I think they got rid of that characteristic of it.
I was going to say, that's imaginary friend erasure, and I won't stand for it.
Listen, I'm going to type in here for the first time in my life, Snuffleupagus. I don't know how to spell that.
Good luck spelling that. When I was little, I watched My Little Pony, the OG.
Upagus. Snuffleupagus.
Yeah.
Up? E like U-P?
U-P.
Yeah.
Snuffleupagus.
Yes, Snuffleupagus.
Snuffagus.
Upagus. Not like...
Only Big Bird would see Snuffy, because he would always leave when Big Bird wanted to get others, leading everyone to believe that Snuffy was simply an imaginary friend. But after Sesame Street presents Follow That Bird, Big Bird finally succeeded in revealing Snuffy to his friends on Sesame Street. Yeah.
The Sesame Street lore runs deep.
I don't know. They don't have it here. This is from Wikipedia. But, I always heard that was the reason why they made Snuffy be able to be seen.
I mean, it's a really sweet reason. Priyanka Chopra, that's the name of the Jonas wife that's in Citadel. She is actually, it's actually reductive to call her Jonas wife. I apologize. She's actually a very well-known Indian actress.
Well, you can reference someone if you don't know.
Look, I don't know anyone's names. I'll also be like, the guy with the nose that was in the movie with like the really hot lady who.
You should make trailers, I think, for shows because Rob Stark and the lady who's married to the Jonas brother who isn't Rob Stark's sister. By the way, she's got a great career on her own. Sorry about that. All right, well, that'll do it for us today. Ash, I had an idea maybe for a Friday segment. People seem to really like when you were throwing the headlines at me yesterday and just having that quick little roundup. So what if on Friday we try to go back and we'll listen to all the podcasts from the week, find all the places, the things we didn't talk about, like my nursing story that I didn't talk about yesterday.
I'm dying to hear it.
Yeah, and then we'll pick those up at the end of the week so we can finish those thoughts off. How about that?
That sounds great.
All right, we'll be here tomorrow to talk about that. Hopefully you will be as well. Bye, everybody.
I'll steal it! No one will ever know! Hey, we recorded the podcast! Shut up!
Good morning to you, wherever you are, because it is for January 5th, 2024. It's Friday. Sitting right over there is a woman I am marginally upset with this morning. Hi, Ashley. How you doing?
Pardon me, marginally upset. Go ahead.
Here's what. I got a bone to pick.
All right. You want to fight? I'll fight you.
No, I don't want to fight you today. Ashley,
We're going to fight.
in our relationship, I wouldn't say I'm a morning person, but compared to you,
I would.
Holy shit. Like, I am so much a morning person compared to you. I got a bone to pick with you then. Guess what I was doing last night at 12:30 a.m. when I should have been sleeping?
What were you doing?
Watching YouTube documentaries about how to hold a Tetris controller. God damn it. I was all in on ABS holds, hyper tapping, rolling controllers. I'm an adult. I have bills to pay and kids that are going to wake up in the morning, and I'm watching a YouTube documentary about the ever-evolving world of how to control a Tetris block.
Are you going to train the 4-year-old in hyper tapping?
It would have to be someone that young that can learn. It's insane what they do. I'm not even getting into it, but we'll put it in the link dump if you want to watch it. It is so much fun to go down a rabbit hole on the internet, but I have to be so careful about it,
It's one of the things that makes the internet great, though, is there's in just a normal offline world, someone would be like, oh, yeah, they have a special way of holding a controller. And you would say, Yeah, okay. Kind of like, remember, was it Xbox 360? Was it Halo? Some people would be like, I use the cloud.
Can I just say that I love being married to a hot chick that if I don't put her in check, she wants to talk about video games all day long. That's what you want to talk about. That and twink vampires. Those are your two favorite tropes in fantasy novels. Favorite things to talk about. How did I get so lucky to get this person?
I'm reading a book called Orconomics.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It is 80% through the week. You gotta get through Friday. Fridays, everyone's checked out.
You got this.
It'll be fine. You'll be good.
Yeah.
So yesterday we talked about potentially just looping back around, since the show does move pretty quickly, and sometimes we touch on things and then come back around. And also it gives us a great opportunity to dig into things that we talked about briefly and maybe even got some information wrong on. We can circle back around and see. First example of that is on Tuesday, as we were leaving the show, I said the furthest year out that I had ever thought of was 2032. There's some Unix thing that's happening in 2032. I was wrong. It's actually 2038, and it is a issue with the way that Unix systems calculate time. Basically, when they started the Unix system, put it in place, that was 0 time, and then it moves forward as a measurement from that point, and it's stored in the 32-bit integer. And so they're going to run out of time, essentially, in Unix systems in 2038. And it says the computer systems that use time for critical computations may encounter fatal errors if the year 2038 problem is not addressed. Some applications that use future dates have already encountered the bug. The most vulnerable systems are those which are infrequently or never updated, such as legacy and embedded systems. That sounds like power grids and airlines to me.
I read a really disturbing headline, I think it was yesterday, that the San Francisco metro system, the transit system, is still running off 5.25-inch floppies.
We used to travel a lot. And we don't travel nearly as much. In fact, we talked about the other day about the plane ride we took with the EV. That might be the only plane ride we've taken in 3 years, 2 or 3 years, probably.
It's we've taken a few before she was born, but not nearly as much as we used to. Maybe once a year.
The crazy thing was we traveled more, I think, during COVID, when it was during lockdown, because that's when we were making the big transition over here. What we should do, we should put in the Instagram account our photos of London Heathrow, and it's just empty. It was the most apocalyptic the pandemic ever felt to me.
It felt like zombies were going to be coming out of the wings any moment. If it was that empty, it was just like you felt like a dystopian survivor.
Isn't it weird that being in a space like that and having no one around us felt frightening? And I don't know how else to describe that.
Like, it's not supposed to be that
This
way.
is not right. Something's not right. And even if you've never traveled through London Heathrow, if you've seen the movie Love Actually, we have photos of that place where people come out and all their loved ones greet them, and it's utterly empty, and there's no one there. It was very, very freaky. Also, we talked at one point, I said that Finn had a bedtime routine, and maybe I would get into Finn's extensive and ever-growing bedtime routine.
It's so elaborate. We've got to figure out how to cut it down. But please, go through it.
I'm going to briefly go through this. So when we're settling down for this is after dinner, we do about 15 minutes to half an hour of what we call roughhousing, which then turns into what we call tackle, which sounds like me tackling him. It's not. The roughhousing is like just, wrestling around. I actually have him like practice like going into the guard and stuff like that.
Like tucking his legs up so that he can like push someone off the top. His kid's going to be a wrestler.
Then we do a cold plunge. No, just kidding. So we do that, and then tackle is where he runs around
He does like a loop around the whole house.
The first floor. Can I say something real quick, Justin, to you?
I already know where this is going, but go ahead.
I'm never going to call the upstairs of any building the first floor, because over here they say ground floor, first floor. I'm on board with the ground floor. That's fine. If you go up a set of stairs, you're on the second floor. It's the second floor of the building.
Maybe they are preparing for the eventual sinking of all floors, and so what is the ground floor is going to be in the ground floor, and the first floor will be at ground level one day.
It's like if there's a 2-story building, you say how many floors are in the building? There's 2. What's the second one called? The first one. It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so he runs all the way around it, and then he comes at me and does a flying tackle.
He really gets that momentum. He's going full speed.
Okay, then we do that. Then we play a game which is I'm going upstairs first, and he falls for it every single time because it was always a fight initially to get him to go upstairs for bed. And I say, I'm going to go first. You wait here. I need to go first. And he's like, no, I'm going first.
He's like, he's got to win.
I love it. Finn, if you're listening to this in the future, I cannot believe you fell for that 2 years in a row.
He's got to know.
Then we play our first round of hide and seek. And where I have to find him, and I have to look in certain places and not find him before I find him, because if I find him too fast, he gets mad. Then he gets in the shower. He draws on the side of the shower on the glass wall. He draws emoji faces, and then I have to make the emojis on my phone. Then we do what's called cozy towel. One of the things we discovered when we were on the Amazing Race was everything we had for 22 days we had to pack into one backpack. You can bring whatever you want, but you're going to have to drag it all around the world. And so we discovered like most of our like undergarments we wear, all of our like active wear, it all comes from all the research we did from that point in time.
And it's all this like quick dry stuff.
All quick dry, yeah. And then for the Amazing Race, we were in Chamonix, France. And it was cold, and we had been in the snow, so we were all wet. And we discovered heated towel racks, which we don't have in Texas, go figure. And we have them here, and they are the best thing ever.
Honestly, radiator systems in general, when I was in the US, I would have been fairly down on them because I'd be like, oh, central heating is the best. But I've actually really come around on radiator systems because you can adjust the temperature in different rooms according to how you would like it in that room. That's something we can discuss more in depth maybe another time.
At some point,
Okay, so I'm going to be AFK. You're going to see the screen a bunch. The podcast is going to continue to run, though. So, yeah.
This whole thing we were doing out here, it's a whole sustainable initiative as well that we have for what we're doing. And the original idea was this was going to be the thing we talked about with people. Like this was going to be a project, our next project. But then we found once we got out here, and maybe the pandemic played into it as well, we kept it to ourselves. We were just doing our thing here and happy to live here. But we're always doing stuff like just a few weeks ago, I was out helping dig a well, lost a pair of AirPods while digging the well. And at some point we'll talk about that, some point in the future. But cozy towel is the towel comes off the heat rack and he just enjoys his nice hot towel. Then we do Ashley's favorite part, which is Minecraft Gremlin, where he sits and we play Minecraft and he tells me what to do.
In great detail.
Then I say it's time for bed. Second round of hide and seek. He's got to run and hide, run to his room and I have to find him. Then we do Pajama Meteor game, which I don't even understand what it is. I put him in his pajamas and he has to run and put his head through the neck of the pajamas.
He runs into his pajamas.
I have to tell him how many pieces it broke into. Then he has to change his avatar. He has a school app and he has an avatar which is a little cartoon monster that he can dress in different things. He has to change that. Then we do our points for the day. It's a little point system we have where if he was brave and if he did his chores and if he works hard, and working hard means at this point he has to work on either his letters or his numbers. We'll do that. We rest.
Okay. Actually, cliffhanger. I'm going to leave y'all on a cliffhanger. I'm going to actually end the stream. And it looks like we've been streaming for about 40 minutes or so. Just about an hour. This is really just a test stream to see how this all works. And I might do a better stream a little bit later. However, if you got any suggestions or whatever, leave them in the comments after this posts as a video, and I'll see if I can make them, but I'm still going to have to work with what I got. The only improvement I may do is I may buy a PlayStation camera so that I can have a proper face cam and just record that way. I could actually do content that way. That's how I would probably do it, because I want everything all on my system of choice, which would be PlayStation at this time. But I'm going to end this out like I would any other video. If you guys enjoyed, please like, subscribe, do all of the things. Until next time, which might be later on today, I'll see you later. This has been J-Teku. Peace.